course, is he going to get the kill? He is going to get the kill. That's the same plan.
Getting that regen and then going into damage. He's looking out.
Every time Ruby's in a bad spot, he gets caught up by the silence touch. He needs to wait for it to get off, and it will wear off. He tries to run away, but Trigger will find him with the dash. But at what cost? So low, he's on the wrong side of things. Bart will only be fairly safe out of here, by the way. We're just trying to get Tequila rages around. And honestly, no cost whatsoever. We finally have our first kill of the game, and it goes towards Triggerfinger. It will end up picking up the first turn of the game as well, which is a really huge swing. And a
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Awesomenauts Rumble Scrim Show. My name is Mr. Pillow, and it is a pleasure and honor to be with you guys once again. Joining with me today is the wonderful, the legend, Pyro Cheese. How you doing, my good sir?
Oh, you flatter me, but thank you very much. I'm here with you today. I'm very glad to be here, very excited, and it's going to be a good show.
Indeed, indeed it is. So, if you guys, this is your first time tuning into a Scrim Show, what this is every week at 12 p.m. Eastern, we take scrims from the competitive community. Awesomenauts has a very, very big competitive scene, and we like to take their pickup games, their scrimmages, and cast them for you every week at 12 p.m. Eastern. We have the incredible privilege of doing this week on at twitch.tv/Awesomenauts. You know, they've handed us the keys to the engine. We're gonna do our best to not crash it into a tree here. So, Pyro, I gotta say, I'm totally freaking hyped. The game went free to play yesterday. How are you feeling right now?
I'm still pretty excited, honestly. I did play a couple of matches yesterday. Frankly, didn't see too much of a difference in the people I encountered, but I mean, you know, variance, those kind of things. But it's still kind of interesting. The community is going to be larger in this case. I think there were pretty large numbers online yesterday, if I was reading it correctly. But overall, really exciting stuff going free to play. Community getting larger, so we should be seeing some new faces, and with new faces comes new talent, and we should be seeing some of that in our scrim shows as well if people are so inclined to submit those scrims to us.
Indeed. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and show you what it's like, and be proud to do the first competitive match casting since the free-to-play launch. So, our matchup today is going to be Jambo, Tempest, and Zuji versus Jas123C, Lucapal, and Triggerfinger. On the red side, they're going to be baiting out Gunji and Scolder, picking up that Ted, Deadlift, and Kezania. On the blue side of things, they're going to be banning out Biddy and Spike and Swiggins, and picking up a Penny, Ix, and Yuri. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know about our betting system. You can type who you think is going to win into the chat. Just type red or blue. If you guess correctly, you're going to be eligible for a giveaway after the match, and you have until the match begins to get your guesses in. Pyro, how do you feel about these comps?
I think it's going to be very interesting. For a map on like Serona, it's going to be very, very open in the middle with those jump pads, especially a lot of aerial space, and I think it's going to be coming down a lot to mobility in this case. The least mobile out of everyone here would be the Ted. Everyone else has some pretty nice advantages when it comes to mobility. Ksenia I've always thought has a nice double jump as well as her stealth roll that can get her out of some sticky situations, but especially the blue team, I'm gonna be looking out to see what kind of moves they can pull out, just because Penny, with 3 or 4 jumps, depending if she has boots or not, can, you know, get a lot of places on this map, and Ix can effectively fly, you know, to a certain degree, and Yuri is a flyer, not obviously. So on a map as open as this in the middle area, I'm gonna be looking out for some things like that. You know, maybe not necessarily staying in lane all the time, but to see what kind of mobility and those things can offer these knots in this kind of situation.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And considering how open it is, you know, for the ability for the blue team to just constantly stay above the red team and deadlift, while he has a high vertical jump, he's gonna have trouble tracking the blue team, for example. but they do have tricks up their sleeve. It doesn't matter how high up you are, airstrike is always a major threat since it goes across the entire lanes. You got Jambo on the Kesnia there, and that is going to be someone who can run around, tracking his opponents. He's got a double jump, he can reach that ceiling, he can slow them down, he's got knockbacks and slows. They have mechanisms to deal with the flyers. It's just a matter of they're going to be able to play it right. Because the one thing that's going to be consistently true here is that the blue team has to do, has an easier time tracking in order to get kills than the red team, and I think that's going to be one of the bigger things that brings it into their advantage. So that's one of the main things I'm seeing here. Well, let's talk about Ix and Yuri. Ix has that psionic bond where he can link to an enemy and then swap his places, and Yuri plants those stationary mines that do a lot of damage. How potent will it be for Ix to swap someone into mines in this matchup here?
I think it'll be very potent. I think regardless of who they're up against, Ix and Yuri combo has always been pretty potent. I mean, before Ix came out, the classic combo like that was Leon and Yuri, and Ix kind of fulfills a similar role, but has some more support-like abilities as well as qualities to him. But in this case, it's going to be interesting to find an answer to that, because the only real answer they would have to that would be either a stun from Stimpack, a hopefully well-timed silence from Ksenia, or possibly the shield from Deadlift. But even then, you know, if you get even 2 or 3 mines stacked up in a swap on that, that's easily, you know, the majority of your damage gone, if not instant death. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can find an answer to that, or if they're going to be playing it that much, the blue team, because this is a scrim. This is effectively competitive context. So a technique like that is something you see in normal pub matches a lot of the time, I feel. I don't know if I've seen it too much in competitive, because it does take a little bit of setup time, and, you know, being in competitive, you don't really want to stay in one place for too long. But we'll see how much of a role it plays. But it is something that I do expect to see maybe at least once.
I definitely agree. Well, with that said, are you ready to get into this match, my friend?
Let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, I am at the 21-second mark. Would you like to give us a countdown?
Let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. On the red side of things, you got Tempest playing the Ksenia, you got Dept, also known as Zuji in the community, playing the Ted McPain, and you got Jambo playing the Deadlift. On the blue side of things, you got Jazz123C playing the Penny Fox, you got Locopal playing the Yuri. I think we had that wrong on the draft screen, I apologize about that. And you got Triggerfinger playing the Ix, and they are off. We have both teams racing as fast as they can to take mid, try and get that map control. We're going to see a bond come out right now. The airstrike is going to be refracted through, no displacement happening. There's a pulse and a pounce. The red team getting really low. Luco Pound trying to lock them down with a time bubble, and Jumbo might be in a bad spot here. He might be going down, but he gets out at just a tiny sliver of HP. The Ix auto-tracking just a little bit less than what it should be. Now Luco is going to get stun packed into the airstrike and then taken out by the shotgun for the first blood in less than a minute into the game. That was a really, really good pickup by Zuji, where he just used the lip jump to get in close. He might be going in now, but there's the airstrike, there's the refract, and it goes through it. The pulse was a whiff there. What do you think is the primary early game kill conditions for each game, Pyro Cheese?
Early game, I think it really is just making sure that you're together with the team and not trying to be picked out. You know, in any kind of game this early, it's always kind of tough to see, oh wait, it's going to hold on for a minute. Jumbo might be taken out, not quite, barely going to be making it out of that alive. And just a little bit of team fight going on, nothing too much else going on. But anyway, as far as like kill conditions here, I was going to point out how first items are always an interesting way to look at it in this case, because I feel like what really got Ted that kill on Yuri right there was that stun on Stimpack, and that was really, really effective. It always keeps, a lot of the times if placed correctly, it keeps an enemy not in the range of the airstrike, as well as giving them that attack speed bonus, which can, you know, coupled with the airstrike, can do massive amounts of damage, and that's what we saw right there. Just, you know, one-on-one, Ted versus Yuri, and Ted gets stunned into airstrike off, and that is basically what let them get the kill in that case.
Indeed. No, I definitely agree. Oh, and that's actually underway. Second big fight coming out there. There's going to be stun pack, time bubble, airstrike, and displacement. And all the ability that gets used in disengagement. Everyone on the red team kind of getting a little bit low off that. Blue team was as well, but they all have a bunch more of sustain options. But okay, so now that's the other way to say it. Airstrike coming out. Here's the time bubble counter initiation, but Triggerfinger trying to make the jukes of his life. But the leap from Jambo is going to take him out. Get a frag. Luco in a really bad situation now. He might not be able to get out. Jambo picking up the double kill, right in front of the enemy turret. Just was not able to juke deadlift. Yuri a bit too clunky for that. And now that's going to leave Jazz in a 1 versus 3 scenario, forced to defend. Oh. Pyro, how does Pennies in general do on defense and when they're in situations like these as compared to other knots?
Penny is always having a tough time with it. Oh, that's going to have to wait a little second. Unfortunately, there's going to be a 1-for-1 trade right there. Oh, no, 2-for-1 actually. Trigger going to be able to pick up the kill on Ted there as well to make it almost even in kills, and a little bit of initiation going on Ted, but not too much else going to be happening in there. But Penny specifically usually has trouble defending, in my opinion, because she is a melee knot, so she has to get really close and personal to even be hitting the droids that are attacking her turret. At the same time, that does leave her vulnerable to very close range combat, such as Ted's shotgun, Scolder's throw, which we're not going to see in this case, but this is a theoretical sense. She does have an ability where she can get a ranged attack on her melee, though, and I've seen that come out pretty often, just because not only does it also offer a bit of AoE damage on her auto attack, but does give her a little bit of distance as well, so that she can be poking a little bit safer, as well as making sure that she isn't in danger. So that's something that we might see. I see it quite often when it comes to these competitive matches when there's a Penny, but we have not seen it come out just yet on this one.
I definitely agree, and if she does that, she can back clear, and that's when you're going past the enemy team, extending past them, and trying to get droids in mid while they're trying to push, and you just in general just try and avoid the combat as long as you need to, and that's something that you can do really effectively with it. We've seen kind of footsie knots for a while. They're doing this thing where they kind of just lob abilities at each other without actually. Here comes the commitment right here. Luca might be going down. He's going to use the time bubble to get out. There's going to be a swap and Tempest into a pulse, then followed up by mines. Very good displacement coming out from Triggerfinger right there, and that's going to be another 1-for-0 in favor of the blue team, bringing it to 4-3, still in red team's favor. But now once they get in, they're on the defensive. Now Jambo's going to be at a bad spot. He's seeing the entirety of blue team collapse on him. He's in an extremely bad situation, extremely low. Def's seeing what he can do. There's not going to be a thing. He's going to go back to defending, and that's going to leave him in a 1v3 scenario. And he's going to go ahead and use his airstrike. He's going to hit the droids, not the players, and the rain of fire continues. Tempest is back in lane with the Cassinia. There's the thing is Cassinia is also not that great on defense, and they are taking a lot of damage. You saw that pulse come out there with the time bubble and face mine coming out from Luco Pal, and then that laser allowed them to pick up the frag there, and that's going to take out Zuji, and once again put the red team in a defensive situation. So very well done to them. One thing I wanted to point out earlier, kind of a mechanism, is that Zuji is saving his stun pack on Stem for when he gets bonded. Because if you get hit by a psionic bond, if you stun the Ix, it cancels the bond. Now, if you don't do it before the displacement, until after the displacement, you don't cancel it. But before that, that's gonna have to wait a second. Triggerfinger taking a lot of damage. He gets silenced for a second. The entirety of the blue team, it's gonna have to get out. That was a really great initiation coming out from Cassinia. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make a pickoff, but they will be able to generate some push nonetheless, as the blue team is low health, running back. They could make a play if they overstay their welcome. Tempest is trying to get out, and actually picks up the frag on Luco Pal, who lost track of where he was, but Jas is going to be assassinating Zuji in the meantime. Now they're going off after Jambo, who's getting in a bad situation. Bond's going to be back up in a second. He's going to get pounced. He needs to try and find the leap, but it's not going to be in time. He had 0.1 seconds left on his protective pose, which would have saved his life with that gigantic shield. That's unfortunate. That's going to bring it 7-5 in favor of the blue team. We just saw triple slow and flash forward being picked up now on the Yuri. How is that going to change these team fights, Pyro?
I think that's going to be pretty devastating if timed correctly. I think a lot of, when it comes to these kinds of scrims, you always talk about like kill conditions and win conditions, things like that. I think that definite kill condition for the blue team is absolutely getting that psionic bond into a swap into the rest of the team. And we did see that with that earlier pickup on Ted, I believe it was, just getting a good pick off, switching them, and there wasn't necessarily anything set up yet at that point. I know earlier, before the game actually started, we were talking about, stacking a couple of mines and then having them switch into that pile of mines. Effective, sure, but hold on, there's going to be a team fight right there. It's going to be almost Ted going down, but instead, it is going to be Ksenia there going for a 1-for-0 trade. Ted going to be having to force to go back to base, it seems, just to heal up. And it's going to be defending again on the red team. But yeah, we're seeing that triple slow and flash forward. So what that does is it makes the enemy knots significantly slower, 15% more than the already pretty strong Yuri bubble. But it also gives a speed boost to friendly knots and droids. So what that basically means is that it's going to be kind of a double acceleration effect for the blue team. And, you know, just any kind of a speed boost that they can get on a team is always devastating because they're going to be pumping out damage faster, they're going to be taking damage slower, so it's going to be very, very hard to counteract that. And if Ix can get a good bond into one of those slow bubbles, speed up bubbles, then it could be a very, very bad situation for the red team.
And definitely, and but the question is if he can pull it off, because the Ksenia, you know, we've seen earlier, she finds those silences and shuts down the abilities, and they can find a kill fast enough before that silent wears off. Even with the upgrade, I know it only does under. Oh, that's gonna have to wait a moment. Big fight coming out here, big engagement. Tiffus is getting the body blocks on, and he's gonna set up Zuji for the double kill. Combined with those body blocks and the stun pack there, that was and somewhere over at the jungle, it looks like Jambo went ahead and took out Jess 123C. So that's actually gonna be a wipeout. Not only evening up the kills, but will lead to the first turret being taken out in the game. Being wiped out is basically the worst thing that can possibly happen. You have 0 defense versus your turrets now. They can just take them for free without worry about being pushed. So now that they're going to get both turrets off of that wipe, and we're going to see another engagement coming out right now in front of the turret, and this might not be their fight, but actually Jazz is going to get taken out. Luko going in for a very high risk, high reward face mine, and it's going to lead to a double kill, but now it's just a duke out between Jambo and Triggerfinger. I'm not sure who's going to land it, and despite a little bit of lag, Triggerfinger is going to be going down. Luko went for a very high risk, high reward face mine, and looked for a second that it was going to lead to his team being have a one-man surviving, but unfortunately, he lost that bit right there, and now the Jambo I don't know if he'll be able to get base exposure off this. Probably not. He might have actually overstayed his welcome. He needs to get that protective pose up and going, but he's holding on to it, seeing if he can keep Jas123C a little bit distracted. He's gonna go home, spend 570 solar. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of change to spend right there. But yeah, overall, that was a very, very interesting series of events that happened right there. Like you said, being wiped out basically means that you're leaving your entire map open to the enemy team. It's gonna have to wait a second. There's gonna be initiation on Ted. Not gonna lead to quite so much. There wasn't really anything too much set up for that swap that Ix did manage to pull off there. But yeah, so now red team right now is in a pretty comfortable position, both map domination wise as well as turret and solar wise. They are a little bit ahead in solar. Not well, actually, no, never mind. They're about even in solar. My mistake. But still, either way, gonna be putting them up ahead in kills, at least by 1, now by 2 with that penny going down, unfortunately. And it looks like they might be trying to pick up something else on Yuri right there, as well as Triggerfinger right there, gonna be super low. And actually, it's going to be able to get that nice airstrike beyond the barrier. Right there, going to be able to get that last pick off on Ix. And is this... Yep, that's also Yuri going to be going down, done to Tetris right there from that Ted. So, again, blue team wiped out, going to be putting them in a rough spot. Red team going to get some free push right there. No droids quite yet, so they're going to have to go with that. And now Penny's going to come in, try to do some defense right there. And again, pretty hard for her to do just because she's a melee not right now. Doesn't have that range upgrade. Somewhere in that process, though, I'm noticing that they're like red to bottom.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out. They haven't cleared those droids in quite a while, and now they're actually clearing the very next wave. And we get droids and a super droid. They need to go get on this. It looks like that's exactly what Jambo's going to do. That's an unfortunate way to lose the turret, but on the flip side of things, they got the back turret down to 20%. So, you know, it's not... you know, a terrible trade-off, but like, still, you just give him solar and XP.
right.
And big fight coming down here, and will Trigger be going down? He's really low. There's gonna be the knife that finishes him off. That slow kind of give him that little bit of extra catch-up that Ksenia needed to really secure that kill. They have the airstrike going down off the jump pad rotation for kind of extra backup. Now Luko Pal's in a really bad spot. He's picking up the health. He should be fine. He's why is he going in? The madman, he gets him with the grenade. That's unfortunate, but Jazz is going to go try and pick up Zuji. Tibbs is going to go back and pick up Tempest in exchange, and that's going to be a little staggered right there. Triggerfinger just getting back in lane. And if Blue wants to win this, they really need to get back together, play organized, and not, you know, quit picking these engagements that don't work. You know, you don't want to pick a 1v2 engagement, especially when you're low health playing Yuri. That, you know, Yuri is, you know, a team fight or not. He's not that much of a solo brawler versus 1 versus 2 the way somebody like Scolder or Jimmy might be capable of. You gotta pick your fights more carefully than that. But we see the entirety of Blue Team in mid. There's airstrikes and pulses going around. They got good sustain right now. Jazz is going to go and clean up the droids. The red team's going to go in. This might be their best moment. In fact, that's exactly what Tempest is going to do. He's trying to deal out some knife damage. We see a stump back coming out. We're going to see a missed leap, and this might be their fight. There's the protective pose. There's the time bubble. Jazz and Tempest both taking a lot of damage. Jazz just barely winning that one out before the next knife comes out. And now we see Deft and Jambo backing up a little bit. They lost a member, and Triggerfinger going in hard. He's going to refract a little bit post-mortemly there because he's not going to refract any damage. And he's going to top off Lucopal's health. They should try and take a fight right now. If they can find a frag, they can force a 3v2 fight so that red team will have to either get out of lane or fight 3v2. But it might be like their fight anyways. There's a lot of damage is coming out. Jimbo going to pick up Triggerfinger. Jazz is going to teleport out just moments before.
That's going to leave Yuri alone over here, unfortunately, though. Wow, that was just a rough spot right there. I don't know what I would have done in that situation, but that was not looking nice.
Every time after a fight, I think it's all done, I suddenly realize, oh wait, Lucopal's still fighting, the Yuri's still in this. I need to get the camera back over to him.
Right.
He really needs to watch out for this. And now they have base exposure. They're getting the first base push of the game going on. Red team is in a really good situation. They have a 2-level advantage, 7-kill advantage, and a bunch of droids. You're going to see displacement coming out here. Triggerfinger going to pay his life for it. Though we got them low. Jazz is going to manage to find the pickup on Jambo. Tempest is just going to run out and with Zuji cover. Now they're going to teleport. And Blue team is going to try and stomp them down there. What do they need to come back from this right now? Like, what is the primary thing that they can do to really night and day turn things around, Pyro?
I mean, I think it's going to be oversimplistic and a little patronizing a little bit, but just stop dying almost would be the condition that I would go for. But really, to be a little bit more specific and not so pedantic, I am referring to, like, just focus on not being staggered a lot of the time, because I am seeing that happen a lot, is because there's a little bit of maybe, oh, there's going to be a nice team fight going right there, and basically a free pickoff on Ted, almost no damage going to be taken on the blue side for that. So they're might be able to get a little bit of push on this top turret, because these two are going to be the worst defenders. They are melee not, so it is going to be tougher for them to defend a push on their turret without taking some kind of reprimand from that. And that is going to be the top turret from the red side going down. So who knows, this, like I said, kill condition, don't die. So far, so good. You know, they might be finding something good out of this, and a swap right there, not going to be leading to anything else, unfortunately, but they are going to be forced to go back to base, while blue team is going to be continuing to push up on the red turrets. But yeah, but staggering in this game is always a very tough thing to come back from, because, you know, when you're staggered, and what I mean by staggered is usually almost constantly you're always going down to be a 2. Oh, there's going to be a team fight going on right here. It's going to be Ix right there bonding to Xenia. Xenia almost going to be going down. Ix in a tough spot. 2 for 1 trade right there. Ted and Xenia for that Ix right there. So it's going to be the deadlift on his own defending while on the run. Yuri going to be going in on him. Deadlift in the middle. It looks like he's going to be teleporting out. And yeah.
But that was that was some really savage gameplay coming out there. Triggerfinger sacrificed his life, but possibly set his team up base exposure. I don't know if they're good at it there, but they do have a lot of droids. They have push, they have a super droid. It is taking a lot. Luco doing a good job being a really annoying monkey. The more annoying you are as Yuri, the better you're playing Yuri. He's one of those type of knots. Just plant mines everywhere and just like give that the other team that feeling of, oh my god, I can't even go in. And Jammo's gonna go in and get taken out as a result. Gets pounced off the jump pad into a team fight that he shouldn't have taken. Just a very good timing awareness from Jazz, and that's a very good example of forcing a bad fight for the enemy team. Once he got pounced them towards his towards his teammates, Jambo had no choice but to fight back, and it wasn't something that he was able to do in that situation, and so he died very fast. Now, base exposure is going to be a thing. Lots of pulses coming out. Jazz is basically hitting these as soon as they go off cooldown. Now red team is in the same situation that the blue team was in earlier, and now it's actually getting really even. While they still have a 4-kill lead and a tiny bit more upgrades, a total of 5 more upgrades than the blue team has right now, the levels are finally evened up, and they're gonna go spin solar and try and even that out. We see max pounce damage coming out on Jazz 123. We see pills coming out on Ix, and yeah, so I mean, at this point, this is kind of both teams in the exact same situation. There's going to be a pounce right there. Lugo Powell's going to get taken out. He is just going to be caught out, not giving up with the flow with the constant repositionings. And so now all 3 members of the enemy red team are going in hard. And it's a 3v2 scenario. They should be able to take this as long as they don't get too greedy. There's going to be a pulse right there, and there's going to be the swap. Trigger Finger might be able to take out Jambo. He does, and he's going to get taken out in exchange. This should be something that Jazz can clean up. He's going to pulse the scare away Zuji. And this is not looking good for him. He should be able to do this. He's going to pick up a creep. He's going to flank on the backside. There's going to be the pulse assassination. Not much he's going to be able to do. Dev trying to bait him with that shield and stun pack. But now Luco is back in lane. There's nothing he can do. That's going to be a wipeout. They got base exposure. They can rush the base right now and hopefully win this. Deadlift is collecting a solar. We got 5 seconds left on the Gacinia. We got another 10 seconds left on the Ted. That was actually really well played by Jazz. He had a really good flank. He didn't fall for the bait, teleport bait that Jambo might get taken out right here. If he does, this has to be a good game, and I think he will. I don't see any way out of this. There's the pulse last to it. But anyways, he knew that Luco Powell was on the way, so he just kind of kept Ted trapped in there. You even saw Ted just kind of stand still, and he was like, "Crap, I'm done, dude. I'm so dead." Was his mentality, more or less. And now,
he was basically done at that point. There's going to be some good damage coming out right here, and this is what I mean earlier by being staggered right there. So there's always at least one knot down on the enemy team. So right now it's going to be the deadlift down, and unfortunately the red team can't really engage without risking another death, and that's something they cannot afford at this point. Blue team is going to be forced a little bit out. Penna going to be teleporting out. Not quite yet, actually. Still going to be on the run from Ksenia. Is she going to make it out? She is actually right there. Actually forming some kind of invulnerable body block for Yuri right there. Just
perfectly timed.
Yeah, 100% intentional, I'm sure, as well.
Jazz has one hand on his mouse, the other hand on the calculator for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one of those chess clocks. You just slamming it down for the one time. Anyway. But that is going to be both of the teams finally back up to their full potential for the first time in a while. The blue team is going to have a 1-level advantage, and the blue team is going to be going in, actually. They could potentially win right here. The red base is incredibly low. And,
yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah, that's got to be it. They're just a simple backdoor, just rushing base. It only had about 2 or 3 bars left, so, that's not necessarily a bad choice. And overall, that's going to be a very, very good game. Really a lot closer than it looked in some places. Just overall, a very, very good match.
Yeah, that was a very interesting one. Blue made the comeback work. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Whenever I'm casting and I say something like, okay, the blue team, they just got wiped 3 times in a row and they got base exposure and they've lost health on their base. What did they need to do to come back? Like, I don't think they're going to come back. And they did it. They proved me wrong. They got back together and found some incredible frags, and now here we are. So, Pyro, what are your thoughts right now? What could the red team have done differently in the late game?
I think, again, not to be pedantic or patronizing, it really was coming down to not dying. And, whatever, quote-unquote advice that I gave the blue team about the not dying and not getting staggered was one of the big things that I was kind of harping on. It was that they should try to focus on reconvene and actually engage in these team fights as a whole team instead of just, 2v3 or 1v2 or 1v3, which a lot of cases is what happens when it comes down to a death. That, when it comes to 3v3 knots, if one is down, that's, a third, which is a good chunk of your team gone. And depending on what kind of role they're fulfilling in your team, it might not be the best idea, to put it lightly, to go into the team fight at all. So in some of these cases, I think, especially later in the game, the red team was finding themselves on their back foot. Just with that, there was always at least one person down, 2 people down in some cases. And I did believe there was a wipe on the red team. Yeah, that later in the game there was a wipe on the red team that actually led to the base exposure. And just with that, I think again they could have gone, okay, listen, we've been staggered for a little bit, a couple of minutes now. We just need to reconvene, make sure that we're all up and ready to rumble when it comes to this team fight that's going to be happening soon. And in that case, they would have been in the most advantageous point possible instead of, continuing trying to defend as well as engage when they were in that disadvantaged position of a 2 or 2v3 or 1v2 or, like I said, whatever it might have been.
No, absolutely. And just picking those fights that they shouldn't have, and Deadlift getting caught out a couple of times was key at the end. But questionable teleportation block from Jas that saved a frag there. I'm not even sure what to call that. There's like, okay, when you teleport, there's a tiny bit of invulnerability frames. Like, I'm talking the very last smidge of it, while with your collision block still being there. I mean, and considering that teleport, you have to do it for 4 seconds, there's no calculating that. That was just the most random chance, maybe a little bit opportunistic from Jas's teammates, and just like in the split second thinking, maybe I could use that. But yeah, they were just kind of like running towards Jas, and fortunately, in between that and a little bit of pink, it wasn't terrible, and he body blocked them just long enough to keep them off.
No, yeah, definitely, for sure. It was just kind of like a lot of interesting plays happening towards the end, and a lot of it did come out in the blue team's favor. Obviously, I mean, they did end up winning. But yeah, good to see that kind of a turnaround, honestly. We were talking about early in the match, those kinds of win conditions, those kinds of kill conditions, and a lot of it did come out, just getting in a team fight, getting some nice swaps, and overall just getting the upper hand on the red team.
Absolutely. Anyways, guys, it's been a really good match. We are going to take a short break, be about 5 minutes, while we set up the next match of the game, my friends. Do not go anywhere.
When you want haircut, go to me. Here, tricky.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Awesomenauts Rumble Scrim Show. My name is Mr. Pillow, and once again joining with me is Pyro Cheese. You hanging in there, my good sir?
I'm doing just fine, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we get into the game 2, I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit more about what Awesomenauts Rumble is. I saw some people asking about signups in the chat, things like that. We're a tournament organization for Awesomenauts. We've been around since last September. We have been consistently one of the most active and consistent tournament brands for the scene. We do host this stream, the Scrim Show, weekly at twitch.tv/Awesomenauts Rumble, and we host monthly tournaments on the third weekend of every month called Gathers. What they are is just kind of you get with a team. And it's a single elimination tournament. At the point of semifinals, we turn the bracket into a double elimination, and it's a lot of fun. There's always a bunch of DLC prizes. For example, in both the early rounds and the later rounds, there's cash prizes. And the coolest prize of all is you actually get an exclusive tournament medal in game. For more information about signing up for Gathers, go to awesomenautsrumble.com. That website will not work if you put www. Just put awesomenautsrumble.com, and all the rules and sign up information is there. And with that said, we did have Team Doodoo Demons that's Nikki, Ubi, and Dave W winning out versus Japan Disciples. That's Body Hunter, Paulo, Shiz, and Mr. Manager. Last Sunday we casted the grand finals live, and it was an awesome show. Team Doodoo Demons actually had to come back from the losers bracket, and so that means there was a bracket reset, so they had to beat Team Japan Disciples, the winner of the winners bracket, twice. And each match went to tiebreaker, so they played the maximum amount of matches possible in a grand final. So it was just like, oh my god, is this actually happening? Like, it was a lot of hype, and it was a really cool event.
No, yeah, absolutely, I'm sure. I unfortunately was busy today, so I wasn't able to join in that either for casting or for participation, but definitely heard a lot of good things coming out of that. And it is nice to see that there is going to be some consistent things happening in this community. We do have this, as Pillow said, this weekly show going on. Every Thursday in the morning, at least for the US time, so that pretty much everyone around the world can have at least a shot at looking at this, as well as that monthly tournament. Just a good way to get the community involved in something consistent and predictable, so that, you know, if you're ever in the mood for looking at something competitive and want to get into the competitive scene, or even just want to get some casual scrims going on, because, you know, even at the end of the day, all these things that we cast on Thursdays don't necessarily go for any prizes. They're just for our own amusement, so to speak, but it is a good way to showcase the community skills, as well as what the community has to offer in terms of their skills, as well as uniqueness, and just overall a way to get people involved. So it is a good way to get into that.
Indeed, it really is. I really hope you guys check it out. We encourage everyone to sign up. I don't care if you're League 9. I don't care if you're from Mars and have 900 ping. Everyone, sign up. Like, it's a really cool time. You can find people looking for a team in the Awesomenauts Rumble Discord, which if you type !Discord into the chat, you'll find that. There's also the Awesomenauts Scrim Portal. That's another Discord server not ran by us, but we highly endorse it. It's also used for similar purposes. You can find more information about that on our website. And we also made a small teaser at the end of our tournament Sunday, and now have a little video on YouTube. It's about 40 seconds long. I'm just going to show you guys this right quick. It's one of those easier to see than it is to talk about sort of things. So yeah, Awesomenauts Rumble Championship Cup, our mainline event for 2017. All details will be revealed on June 21st. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be our biggest tournament yet, large and by far. But we have talked about this for enough. Let's go ahead and get into our next match, Pyro. What do you say?
I say we've been selling out long enough, so I think it's time to get back into some action. What people actually came out here for, not so much as shilling, but getting some good matches under our belts.
Indeed. It's going to be Nikki, Bounty Hunter, and Sam versus Slevin, Zuji, and 9volt. Pyro Cheese, why don't you take us through these drafts, my friend?
So on the blue team, we're going to have Slevins on the Penny, 9volt on the Scoop, and Zuji over on the Ted, as well as on the red team, we're going to have Nikki, hold on one second, sorry. Nikki on the Durple, Sam on Lux, and Body Hunter on Deadlift, with Bandnauts being combined for everyone. Vinny, Swiggins, Genji, and Skolder, kind of did a little order. First thing I want to point out, over on the red team, full tanks. Durple classic tanks, been in the game for a long time. Lux and Deadlift a little newer to the scene, but still tanks by very definition. Everyone can get some kind of form of shield, and as an ability, Deadlift obviously has his shield on his protective pose. Durple can get shield on his siege mode, and Sam does have some shield from his charge. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what kind of answer to that the blue team is going to have, whether it's going to be just raw damage output or trying to knock them out of that, or to see what happens, really. It's going to be cool to see, I think, because you don't see a whole lot of teams that are full-on tanks. A lot of the times when it comes to these scrims and kind of competitive scenes, it is a case of trying to diversify a little bit, you know, potentially a support, some kind of damage, as well as a DPS or things like that. But to see just full-on tank mode, that's going to be interesting to see, in my opinion.
Nah, it really is. The thing about it, though, is that they are slow. That's kind of the trade-off. Obviously, Durple is very slow. Deadlift has kind of a tough time juking. He has to really rely on his timing, his protective pose, and his leap to get out. Jimmy probably has the easiest time of getting out of danger, but you have stuns on 2 of the enemy knots, and you have a snare on the other, and potentially a really strong slow as well. So considering how much lockdown they have, it could be pretty scary for the red team. They're going to have to really watch out here. They're not going to take any fights that they shouldn't be taking, and, you know, just, you know, not do anything silly, so to speak. It's the sort of comp that can either go really right or go really wrong. You have Jimmy, who they have a couple of interesting combos. For example, Jimmy can charge the enemy team into a snare, and that's one of those devastating kills that just absolutely just deals an incredible amount of damage. And if you get snared into that like that, you've already taken, you know, charge damage, danger pins, possibly an auto trap, and now you're gonna get nuked. You're dead 100%. Any member of the blue team, even Scoop, who is their tank, there's not really any getting out of that. I wanted to quickly mention, by the way, our bet system. You can guess who you think is going to win. It's either going to be the blue team or the red team. Guess correctly to be eligible for a giveaway after the match. You have until the match begins to get your guesses in. Pyro, what are some of the other comps other combos that these comps possess?
I think it'll be interesting. A lot of from the blue team, I do expect a lot of CC. I mean, that is kind of their advantage over the tank team, I would say. The tank team is going to be very, very susceptible, in my opinion, to the CC. That's kind of fumbling over my words a little bit. But when it comes to the tanks, like you were saying, a lot of them are in the game are going to be slow, if not all of them. I don't think there's really any fast tanks necessarily. So when it comes to penny pounds, potentially getting knockback on that, and as well as stun into an airstrike or, you know, stun pack is going to be very devastating to a lot of this mobility, especially with Jimmy. If you can get Jimmy caught in some kind of CC or some kind of CC cycle as well, that's very, very difficult for him to get out. He doesn't have a whole lot of mobility outside of his charge, and same thing with Deadlift. Deadlift does have some mobility with his jump being very, very vertical, as well as his lunge. But, you know, if his lunge is going to be taken out of the equation for a little bit, all he has is left to rely on this map, especially when it's so tight quarters, is going to be his protective pose, which is going to be a pretty long cooldown. And if he can be caught outside of that, it's going to be pretty tough for him to get out of that. So when it comes to combos, I just see a lot of CC specifically coming out or generically, I should say, coming out from the blue team. Some combos would be just, you know, simple Scoop throwing out a hammer, and then Penny being able to follow up with a pulse, or maybe, you know, trying to get around them to get into a knockback into the turrets. A lot of that, I think, is going to be something that's going to be good to look out for. Again, just to see what kind of counters they're going to have for the tank team that's going to be up against them.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Oh, by the way, guys, I just wanted to let y'all know I'm having a slight technical difficulty loading the replay, so please bear with me. We're getting stuck on gathering profile data, so... yeah. That's what's going on right now. That's why we are drafting so much. Or, excuse, talking about the draft so much and trying to bear in there.
No, that's fine. This is live, after all. We do this with a purpose. So, I mean, technical difficulties are going to be inevitable, unfortunately, and there usually is at least one per stream. Usually it's me forgetting to unmute my mic, but, you know, at least we trade off faults every once in a while, at the very least. But, you know, it's going to be not that big of a deal. It should be getting up soon enough. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't really know what else to say, just stalling for a little bit of time. Do you want to chill out more, sell out some more, or what do you think?
I was trying to think of a funny joke, like something that we don't really sell out on, like, I don't know.
You want me
Your
to look
favorite
up some
brand of
knock-knock
cheese
jokes?
is Pyro cheese. Yeah, give me your best joke right now, Pyro.
Oh man, I forgot the... Dude, if I could remember Holla's dad joke of the year, I would do that. Oh wait, do I know? Hold on, let me see if I can remember it. What is... No, I'm not gonna even try it. I'm gonna ruin it if I try it.
It's too late. I got the replay loaded. I'm gonna assume that was like the Awesomenauts gods going, dude, don't embarrass yourself, Pyro. We're just gonna go ahead and get the game going.
Just stick with what I know. Okay, let's do it then.
Alright, yeah, I'm just putting up the kills and deaths and all that fun stuff. Alright, I am at the 21-second mark. Would you like to give us a countdown?
Yeah, 21 seconds. Let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, and go.
And we're off on the red side. You got Nikki playing the Durple. You got Jimmy being played by Sam. I almost said Jimmy playing the Sam. And you got Baldy Hunter playing the Deadlift. On the blue side of things, you got Slevins playing the Penny. You got 9Volt playing the Scoop. And we got Zuji, formerly known as Devin in Game 1, once again playing the Ted McPain. And they are off. Pyro, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, how does the Stealth Orb affect these comps here? I don't think that's something that we talked about much.
We didn't very much at all. I think it's going to be coming into play for sure. I mean, it is a map mechanic that's unique to this map. And there's going to be a team fight right there. Wow, that's actually going to be heavily in favor of the blue team right there. Nikki almost going to be the only one standing, or going to be taken out last.
Just watch out for Pulse here. They might come down and get him.
Ooh,
there it is.
Gonna be, oh, well, you know, in my opinion, that was worth it. An early wipeout for one death is some free push on that turret. And if they're going to come back soon, that's going to be a lot of damage on the turret. I don't know if it's just me, but the replay seems to be having trouble loading the turret damage. It didn't seem to be taking any damage for a little bit of time there. But still, some free push on that turret is going to go a long way, especially something this early. If they can get an early turret that's going to open up the map significantly and offer a little bit more mobility to everyone. But I think it's going to be more advantageous to the blue team than the red team, that extra mobility. In any case, yeah, with the stealth forward coming into play, I think that the blue team especially is going to be looking to capitalize on that. Just because, especially with Penny, they do have the option of getting some nice initiation off that. Red team doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of initiation. They either can do some well-timed snares or potentially some charges from the back. But being able to do that does require to be getting close and personal a lot of the time. And while they are tanks, it might be difficult to actually pull that off. Nikki going to be pretty low down there, and he's actually going to be going down to the pin right there. Sam going to be taken out as well, it seems. Everyone going to be pretty low. Wow, Penny barely dodging that lunge and escaping almost certain death right there. Body Hunter going to be left out there alone and just going to be looking for an escape. Is going to be taking a lot of damage. Almost taken out by the airstrike, but thankfully dodged it just in time. So a lot of action happening so far. 5 kills on the... Wow, okay, scratch that. 6 kills on the blue team to the red team's 1 kill. So at this point, it does look pretty in favor of the blue team. For level 4 on the blue team as opposed to level 2, so pretty significant exchanges happening so far. So, Pill, let me go and ask you, what does the red team have to do to answer for this? What kind of things could they do to change things, how things are looking out right now?
They need to first, just make sure that they don't stay overextended. They don't want to be in bad scenarios where the blue team can just go in and take a free fight. Because if the fight starts off being defined by hammer and bitings and pulse and stun pack, and then the red team goes, oh, hey, there's fighting, we need to, counter initiate. They've already lost. They need to be on the front lines and just be ready to, just duke it out and not be caught off guard. Because I think that's a little bit of what's happening at the moment. Blue team is, deciding the fights. And, like, here's an example of a fight that right there. Unfortunately, Nikki should have found that frag, I think, but he just kind of didn't have a team. Bounty Hunter is going to be trading for Slevins right there in the jungle in a 1-for-1 exchange there. And that's just an example of people just kind of being not with each other. They need to be more careful. They need to be working together and not solo fighting. There's gonna be the bindings. It's not gonna hit anything. That's good. And Sam's gonna defend this. He should be able to defend the top lane pretty well. He does have those missiles. And now they're gonna rotate back to the bottom and just play the defense. They're gonna get back together. Nikki trying to do some aggressive snaring and see if he can catch someone on lane rotation. We're going to see Deadlift. He's gonna go to the top there and yeah, not much to this.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to be, or it definitely is a fast-paced match right now. Like I said, only about 5 minutes in, already 10 deaths on the board. About a death every 30 seconds or so, and that's going to be a lot. Nikki almost going to be going down, but unfortunately, Lux is going to be going down. In the case, Bounty Hunter going to be caught on the wrong side of the map over there, looking to get her for an escape. Not going to be able to fight him, unfortunately, just going to be collapsing all on top of him right there, all at once. Some interesting items are coming out. I wanted to say, Sun Pack on Ted is not a huge surprise, but it is something worth pointing out that he's going to be getting this early. But one of the ones I wanted to point out was a range penny coming out on the blue team. That was kind of brought up last match that we didn't see coming out until later in the game, if at all. I don't think it came out at all actually in the last scrim. But it was a first item pickup on this match, and it's working out okay so far. I don't necessarily see it come out in action just because range penny is more kind of a poke ability more than anything else, and just kind of like overall just harassment like that. But a lot of these team fights have been very, very short, if not one-on-one, so range hasn't helped out too much in my opinion, but still always helps in my opinion.
No, definitely. We see Sam, he's trying to go for a charge right here. He gets them into kind of bad situation. Slevins is going to get caught out right there. Lands the snare, and he tries to counter initiate, but the protected post is going to stop him. Now we got Zuji in a bad situation. There's going to be an airstrike there, and now Zuji's going to get taken out by the it looks like the turret kind of going through the shield right there. It has a little bit of piercing if you stand in that exact spot. And now Sam's going to be managing to take out 9 volts, so that's going to be a wipeout in favor of the red team now, and going to really result in their first significant push of the game. They already have that top turret down to half. They're going crazy on this bomb turret here. They need to watch out. Slevins is going to come in. He's got pulse. He could possibly double kill here, but there's going to be the protective pose. They need to be backing up. Yeah, that was like not the best choice there. And that's going to be a 1-for-0 Slevins manages to get. And he's chasing down Nikki, trying to find him. But Nikki burns his invis and is trying to get out. And he might get taken out. He dodges the hammer. Now he's got the protective pose on him, and he should be fine.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on in this match. I think, a lot of like things that I would consider maybe reckless might be the term that I want to use, but like you were saying right there, red team just staying in a little bit too long when they were pushing the bottom turret, almost getting a double kill. So one of them did actually manage to go down, but when it comes to this, I feel like it's almost I'm missing a little bit of the general team fight, I would say. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that coming, especially from the red team right now, in my opinion. It is kind of a lot of like quick actions, maybe 1v1 or 2v2 kind of thing, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of full-on team fights where, a team of tanks, I almost feel like that's where they would shine, just having a whole lot of raw health to their benefit to counteract the mostly single-target CC. So, I mean, we'll actually know it's mostly AoE CC now that I think about it, but in any case, it's going to be interesting to look at overall. Nikki almost going to be going down there as well. Oh, not a pulse on cooldown, unfortunately. to get that last little bit of damage on Nikki. Bodyhunter going to be looking for the Invis Orb just for as an escape mechanism. It looks like he might be. He's actually going to be hit by the airstrike. So Invis may wear out soon, but he might be getting out just in time. He's still looking for an escape. Not going to be able to quite find it. It seems. It looks like he's going to be teleporting out down in the invisible area. So right now, it looks like red team is going to be on their back heels. There's going to be a huge team fight going right there. Nuke coming out that's going to hit all three of them. Unfortunately, only one of them going down. Right there, Body Hunter looking. There we go, two of them down. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 trade. Lux going to be able to get that initiation from behind them to pin them all into the turret. And then a final nuke that's going to do devastating damage to all three of them. And then just a couple of picking up the stragglers from there. So it's going to be left for Penny alone defending. In this case, Penny isn't that bad of a defender. You know, we did see a little bit of her action earlier where she did manage to pick up a kill in that case. But AoE range attack does make it a little bit easier for a defense from Penny's standpoint.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to see kind of a little bit more of Awesomenauts coming out here. We see the nuke coming out. It's going to hit Zuji, and they're actually going to force out the jungle, but Slemmon's going to get pushed back. Now both teams are going to probably force to take this fight. Slemmon's being a little bit patient, but in the meantime, Sam's going to go ahead and take out Zuji. He's getting really low. He's going to get hammered. Slemmon's might come back in here. We're going to have to see. Oh, the camera being weird there. Camera goes off into the side the second Slemon takes out Body Hunter. Awkward. And now Nikki's in a bad situation. He's going to get taken out. Fortunately, just barely missing the jump pad there, so he wasn't able to escape through the glass platform, since you're not affected by jump pads when you're durable, so you can drop down through the platforms for a quick escape to the bottom lane. And now Jimmy is going to be left in a 1v3 scenario. That push getting set up.
Yeah, so that was a pretty long team fight, and like I said, that's kind of one of the things that I was looking for overall, is just those kinds of extended team fights with the 3 tanks involved. It's going to be a lot of damage coming out from both sides right there, 2v3, so blue team is going to be coming out a little bit victorious. The 2 members of the red team going to be unfortunately forced to go back. Penny going to be going back, buying some pills now. So now a lot of sustain coming out from Penny round, double regen as well as double pills coming out as her last upgrades right there. A lot of pills coming out on the blue team overall. Everyone except for the deadlift is going to be having pills. I guess they do understand that there's going to be a lot of these team fights happening that are going to be short, and so they need as much health as possible.
Indeed, and I definitely agree with what you're saying. And if they get with all that health that's going on, I'm not sure how much of a difference it's actually going to make anything. Because the red team's kills, to be perfectly fair, it's going to affect Jimmy's ability to brawl them down a tiny bit. But, you know, the other kill conditions, like, you know, getting someone in a snare, or getting someone way out of position, or just unleashing that nuke and that leap on them. I don't think pills will actually help them survive that. They might get out at 1 HP as a result, but it's not the best scenario for them to be in. They need they need to be more careful. They need to not get overly damaged. Nikki gonna go while I'm rumbling. Gonna go ahead and drop the nuke on 9-volt, pick up a kill. Slam gonna pick up with the missiles there. But I guess I guess what I'm skeptical is how much pills will make a difference. I feel like if red team lands all their abilities like they did there, it doesn't mean that the blue team just survives anyways, is what I'm getting at. It helps them survive. It's kind of the incidental blow, so to speak. Am I saying that right?
No, I can definitely understand what you're trying to get at. It kind of comes down to how much damage they're going to be taking over a period of time, over how much they're going to be taking over the course of a team fight. And in a lot of cases, in a lot of times, you do see pills coming out regardless of the kind of situation. Which, by the way, we are going to finally see at least 1 pill on the deadlift. But I do kind of agree that when it comes to, especially in competitive scenes, you know, 16%, 15% more health isn't going to make a whole lot of difference. Usually when it comes to kills, there isn't a whole lot, especially with these burst characters here. They're going to be dying by much more than what their max health pool is going to be, so getting another 15% health isn't going to be making a huge difference. You know, it does help. That's kind of like, it's difficult to argue that it does nothing, but it is, I think, reasonable to say that it doesn't help as much as you might expect.
Indeed, nah. And Body Hunter, he is going to come off, see if he can defend anything there. I thought that was going to be like a bunch of droids in the top lane, but it was just like one, so I think he thought the same thing too, so he ran away. And now they're going to take a fight. They do have that base exposure going on. Zuji is going to get the invis. Body Hunter tries to leap on him, but barely misses. Just trying to make a sick read, but unfortunately doesn't get it. There's going to be a DC nuke there that's going to zone Slevins out hard. They're taking a lot of damage. Blue team might go back in, but Penny doesn't have any charges, and Airstrike just got expended. And now the red team is going to be backing up a bit, and Body Hunter is going to be clearing out the droids, and yeah, they're really kind of in a defensive spot. They're trying to maintain map control. They're trying to stay in this. They're trying to be aggressive. They need to be careful though, because at this point, another double kill can easily decide this game, because you got Penny and Ted, who can just completely melt bases. They have incredibly high structure damage and DPS. And there's going to be a little hammer there that just, you know, pokes Sam. He's already completely healed it off. That's not going to do much to him, not without follow-up. And they are just trying to keep them zoned out. We don't really have that many snares on the field right now. I think that's something they can get going right now. And there's going to be one, but there's going to be a lot of damage coming out. This is not their fight to win. Sam's going to be charging out, and Deadlift is in a really bad scenario. Body Hunter, what will you do? Body Hunter. Oh my god, not like this. He's dead.
No, unfortunately. That Tetris just denying the teleport just in the good time. If without that Tetris, he was gone. If it would have been gone for that, it would be a nothing. But actually, you know, it was almost a wipe right there. They were, you know, maybe eating our words a little bit. Maybe that 16% health did make a difference for those two members, just because they were, you know, sitting at about 2 bars when they did manage to escape, and Body Hunter did go down, unfortunately, though. So they're going to be getting a little bit of push, a little bit more map control. Not going to be going all the way to base, unfortunately. Those snares going to be denying that entrance from that bottom turret space. And everyone's going to be back now. Body Hunter back in lane, and that is going to be Zuji got out as the Ted. Unfortunately, going to be going down right there, but Sam might be going down as well. Not quite going to be getting a lucky creep kill right there, I think is what actually saved him right there. Penny going to be going invis. Doesn't have any charges though, but she's still going to be denying that invis to the red team nonetheless. I mean, she did have some charges. I don't know. On my screen, she didn't look like she had any. But regardless, that is going to be a 1-for-0 trade overall. The Ted's still coming down from the drop pod, collecting solar. So the red team's going to have a chance to gain a little bit of map control. Not going to be pushing very hard, but just something so they can maybe get set up for the next team fight. Indeed. Which might be happening just immediately right there, yeah.
Oh, there it is. And the Pulse is going to completely rear out the protective post. The Binding is going to hit Sam. They're going to be backing up a bit. Zuji is going to get snared right there, and not much going to happen up. So they're going to get disengaged, get their cooldowns back, kill up, and see if they can take the next fight. It's actually kind of even right now, despite the kill difference and the difference in push. You have even levels, mostly even Solar with like maybe 3 more upgrades. I think 4 more upgrades on the blue team than the red team has total. But either way, you know, what determines these team fights at this point is whoever makes mistakes. Usually going to go in, he's going to try an airstrike, and there's going to be a miss. That is a mistake right there. Now the blue team is backing up hard. Zuji tried to got both of them, and that airstrike, despite it being that tight corridor, didn't hit either of them. Talk about unfortunate.
Yeah, I was just looking at that on the stream. I was like, I can't have seen that, right? I was actually looking at the stream just to make sure. It's like, no, yeah, that airstrike actually did manage to miss both of the giant hitboxes that were in that tight space. So it's going to be a little unfortunate. Nothing going to come of it, nonetheless. They are going to be pushed back a little bit just because Ted was in a tight spot right there. But that is going to be giving map control a little bit to the red team. Putting some snares up in the creep area, going to be denying some of that lane changes. And so they're going to be pushed back a little bit. Blue team going to be forced on the defensive for the first time in a while. So we're going to see if they can have any answer to this, to see if they're just going to be ended up clearing, and see who makes the first move for the inevitable team fight that's going to be coming in a minute.
And definitely, it's kind of really intense at this point because it could be anyone's game. Red team can easily pick up a wipe with their comps, and you know, just if the blue team overextends a little bit, and you know, get base exposure as well. Like, there's anyone who like looks at the numbers and be like, oh, you know, blue team is gonna win this. I genuinely think, you know, like right here, here's gonna be a good fight. There's gonna be a tactic post taking out the Pulse, and they managed to deal all the leap damage to them. You saw how low Penny and Scoop got there, and blue team is just not going to take that fight because they know it's a bad fight. Once things have already gone that bad, they're going to need to back up rather than trying to salvage it. And And we see the pressure constantly being exerted here. They could always have to worry about Jimmy, possibly invisible Jimmy's, charging them into the enemy team. They have to worry about running into snares. They have to so many different obstacles that get in their way, only to finally get past all of them and deal their damage and get soaked up by protective bows. So there's a lot of different variables that they have to constantly keep in mind here, and it's why, like, if the fight goes even a tiny bit wrong at the beginning, they just immediately get out. Slevins is going to be in a really bad spot, and they actually managed to pick up a frag, and Slevins is alive? And now Zuji picks up an amazing double kill here. Nikki gonna get sandwiched, and that should be game. That's a wipe with base exposure. That's gotta be it. I thought for sure Slevins was going to die. That was actually incredible turnaround. Calculator in one hand, keyboard. Mount your hand on the other keyboard. I think is what we said, right?
No, yeah, something like that. There's a chess clock involved. Don't think about it too hard. Just, you know, they have 3 hands. That's how good these guys are. But in any case, that is going to be game right there for the blue team victory.
Indeed, that was a really good match. It was kind of cheesy at first with some of the kind of, I guess, random pulse pickoffs. But like after the Awesomenauts began, you saw like both teams were trying to like find ways to creatively engage. And sometimes it worked for both teams, sometimes it didn't work for both teams. It just happened to work a few more times for the blue team towards the late game there. But just like, even that last team fight where, again, somehow Slevins was alive, was just like, this is ridiculous. Well, what are some of the things that the red team could have done differently, in your opinion, to have won this?
I think, one, not necessarily get wiped at the end, but that's getting a little bit pedantic at that point. No, but overall, I think it was kind of getting a little bit more into team play overall. I think it really was more about engaging them all as a team, and we were actually seeing that more towards the end, and they were, you know, when they were actually getting some pressure off, to forcing the blue team to be a little bit more defensive and actually on their back heels. But, you know, when it comes down to it, overall, we should have been seeing that a little bit more throughout the game, in my opinion. It was a very, very active game overall, you know. As I pointed out at one point, I think it was like 5 minutes in, and there was like 10 or 11 kills, which is actually a lot for this game. So to see that kind of high action going on early is nice, but when at the end of the day, it's not exactly super productive, in my opinion, because it's all of these kills, but you can't really do much because you always have like one person down, so you can't necessarily push, or you're gonna have 2 people down on the other team, but you're also a person down, and they have a good defense nod over there, so it's gonna be tough to really engage in that case. So it's a lot of this team play, I think, was a little bit of a misstep, that they weren't really using that to their full advantage, in my opinion. And we did see the potential of that kind of team play towards the end, you know, getting some nice charges into a turret, as well as that nuke that went off on all 3 of them. That was a nice pickoff overall, just to get the 2-for-0 trade. I think that one play that I'm talking about specifically was. But overall, I think it was kind of a bit of bad luck. But at the end of the day, it was kind of the things that we're talking about. A lot of the differences between having 3 tanks on the team while having a little bit more of a varied team on the other side, just to have some kind of an answer for it. And those kinds of things are the differences that we find then. You know, a lot of unlucky pickoffs as well. There was a couple of times where Deadlift was just on the wrong side of town and just couldn't get out, unfortunately, no matter what they tried. So, you know, overall, really just a game, high octane game, to say the least, and a very, very fun one to cast.
Indeed. It was really entertaining. Kind of different comps, not necessarily knots that you don't always see, but knots that you don't always see together. You know, you don't always really see, like, for example, Jimmy, Durple, Deadlift. You see all 3 of those knots individually all the time, but not really on the same team. To a slightly lesser extent, same thing with like Scoop Ted Penny. It was just kind of interesting seeing how the comps played out. I always like to cast these mega tank comps that are just like these big walls of health, so to speak. But yeah. Anyways, with that said, that is going to be our Scrim Show for the day. I hope everyone enjoyed it. It has been an absolute pleasure casting it. And yeah, we run this show every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And it's normally at twitch.tv/Awesomenauts Rumble. I would appreciate it if you guys wanted to come and check us out next week. Again, we do it every single week. Pyro Cheese, where can we find you, my friend?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/pyrocheese, or in the game. I do, you know, play this game pretty consistently, and I pretty much stream every time that I play it. But yeah, you can find me over there. Do this pretty regularly. and do this week pretty regularly as well. So you can tune in here to potentially find me, or over, like I said, at twitch.tv/PyroChase, stream pretty consistently over there. Yeah, excuse me, I see some people in chat recognize me, much appreciated, but you can find me over there nonetheless.
Excuse me, Pyro.
Excuse me? No, but...
Alright. But thanks again, guys. It's been a great time. So you guys know, Runamo is going to be streaming on the Runamo Games channel all week long. The next show up is just going to be in 3 hours at 4 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK. It's going to be the I believe it's called the Awesome Union Show. It's with Slowif and Forecourt Jester. It's kind of like a podcast where they just kind of talk about various things regarding Awesomenauts while playing some games together. They're really cool people, really charismatic, cooler than me and Pyro. So if you guys want to sit at the right lunch table, you should check out their stream in a couple of hours. They will also be at twitch.tv/Runamo Games, normally at twitch.tv/Slowif. And I believe that's all we have for today. I don't have anything else left to plug. I'm just double checking. Yep, it is at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just wanted to be completely positive. But we'll see you guys next week.